it gets tough. The more platforms connected to the hotspot, the more it's going to try to. Well, you know what? We've already prayed about it. I already prayed about it. Y'all's going to take care of it. So I'm not going to be too concerned. So I'm going to try my best to look at I got the sun like right in my eyes. So I'm going to do my best to try and look at the chat. But it's a lot. So I'm going to do my best, y'all, to answer as many questions, get to many questions, comments, and concerns, to say thank you for the love and all that stuff the way that we normally do. I'm just being honest with you. It's a little difficult today to set up. I finally found a place where we got signal out here, trying to get ready for the wedding we were telling you all about. So we out here. Bless y'all. Praise y'all. But it's a lot of different stuff going on to try. But we praise y'all. We were able to at least make it this far. And we're thankful and grateful for you guys being on with us today. So what we're going to talk about today, well, I'm sorry. You know what? I'm sitting up here talking while I'm setting up and everything. Let's start off correct. Hola, mi nombre es Kofi. ¿Cómo está? Bonjour, je m'appelle Kofi. Ça va? Ni hao, namaste. Osaya Nakituaya. Ohio. I see you. Kamsamida. You are Manut. Right. Thank you for being on. Habari gani, Jambo, mimi ni Kofi ninafuraha kukutana na wewe. Kwame Yastel, Tedah, Bakwatav, Anai Kofi, Helit at Servants of Christ, Mashalom Khe. Hello, everybody. I'm Pastor Kofi, Pastor Servants of Christ, where we are always changing lives one mind at a time, but being the voice of the voiceless and speaking the unspoken. And we appreciate you so very much for being on today. We're thankful and grateful for everybody taking some time out once again to be with us. You didn't have to, but we realized that you decided to, and so we're thankful and grateful again for you guys spending a little bit of time with us. So what I'd like to do today, once again, is, and I'm sorry, we give all honor and praise to the Most High. We give all honor and praise to him for my wife, the Honorable Maya, who lives a life that's able to be honored. You can check her out on TikTok, YouTube, her website, and Pinterest at Bloom and Flourish. Not A&D, the letter N, Bloom and Flourish. She is a healer, herbalist, chemist, and biologist by degree. And we're thankful and grateful to everybody who's helps her in the development of said business. So we're going to continue in this series of removing the leaven from our home. We're going to continue in this series of removing the leaven from our home. And we've been doing that since February 23rd. We're doing it all the way through April 4th. April 5th is Passover for us. And removing the leaven is a situation that for a month's time, we're basically trying to make sure that we take away anything that causes sin. Sin represents, so the leaven represents sin in this context. And sin basically is anything that causes us to miss the mark. Right. So that's what sin is for us. And so we're going to get ready to discuss more of that today and make sure we get into more of that that's rising. Ensure that we're doing the best that we can to remove sin, remove anything that's causing us to miss the mark from our lives. And we're excited that you would join us in that endeavor. So that being said, today we're going to talk about a prison of the mind. We're going to talk about prison of the mind. We're going to talk about what? Prison of the mind. It's extremely important that we realize that a lot of people are coming into this walk, this faith, this mindset, with a heart that says that they are supposed to imprison the mind, or they don't realize they're still in prison of the mind, and so they come in here doing prison tactics. This is why a lot of people have the issues that they have, and they say they don't really like what we stand for. They say that all Israel or all Hebrew Israelites and all this stuff are this and that, and we're trying to do this to people and that to people. The reason is because you're dealing with a lot of prison of the mind stuff. You have a lot of people who are still imprisoned and are supposed to be like having this walk. Everybody keeps talking about being woke and being free and all this stuff, but you still have an imprisoned mindset. And an imprisoned mindset means you have a poor mindset. You have an impoverished mindset. You walk in poverty. And I'm sorry, TikTok, you guys are going to disappear for just a second. Hold on. Right, but we want to make sure we talk about this imprisonment of the mind. We got to get this in control. We have to stop treating our brothers and sisters like they're prisoners, or like there's somebody who has to bow down to us, or somebody who just belongs to us. Right? That's an imprisoned mindset. When you've been in prison a long enough time, you start to do some wild stuff. Right? If anybody who's ever experienced prison, I've done just a little bit of time for something I didn't even do. I didn't even go to trial, but I had to, I didn't have to beat the case, but I basically had to wait, and get right to a speedy trial. Right. So once I did that, I was done, but a lot of us, we don't realize that we're still in the prison of the mind. And so as we're still imprisoned in our mindset, we're still treating people like we're in prison. Before we go any further, let me go ahead and say hello to everybody. Like I said, I apologize if I don't get to you today and say shalom to you right off the back and stuff like that. Just please charge it to my head and not to my heart. Got a lot of setup stuff, including the sun right now is like right in my face. I love it, but it also means I can't necessarily see you and your comments and things like that. So I'll do my best to try and get to comments as much as possible. Thank you, moderators, in advance for what it is that you do. But yeah, I will do my best to try and get to you guys' comments as much as possible. Your questions, comments, concerns. I just might not be able to as much as we normally do. But thank y'all for being on. So let's say hello to everybody who's listening. Oh, I'm sorry. We did all this stuff. I still don't have the podcast going. But thank you guys for being on today. Really appreciate you. Blessed to be in a nice situation. We'll probably walk around a little bit for our shout out at the end so you guys can kind of see a little bit more what's going on and see some things from some different angles. But very nice. I guess those who are on Facebook, I'll try to show you guys real quick the sun and everything on the water. You guys can see it for yourselves. If you're on YouTube, I already showed it on TikTok. I guess on TikTok I can just show it to you one more again, just in case you're just coming on if you want to see it. Pretty nice surroundings, right? Right up where fishing happens. So pretty nice out here. Right on the edge here. So if everything works out, we'll probably be saying not my wife and I, we've already said ours, but if everything works out with the couple, this is where they'll be saying their I do's and everything later on. So we're excited about that. Praise Yah. Thankful and grateful to everybody for being on today. So let's go ahead once again. Okay, so as I was saying earlier, thank you to everybody. We appreciate you for being on, whether you join us on the podcast, Facebook, YouTube, TikTok. We appreciate your presence so much. Let's say our hellos real quick, and then we'll get into this word, the prison of the mind. So thank you once again. How you doing, Sister D? Hello, everybody. Hello, how you doing? How you doing? Sister Akita. Amen. Akita, right? Yeah, Sister Akita. I don't know why I keep wanting to say Akita. How you doing, Sister Nancy, Sister Tracy, Darius, Brother Steve? Hopefully you've been able to get in contact with Minister Muriel. How you doing, Sister Lynette, Minister Shantae, Lottie Dottie, and everybody? How you doing? Let me try to get on TikTok. Now, this one's real difficult. Y'all right in the sun. I can't see the screen at all. Trying to scroll back to the beginning. Hopefully I can see you guys. So I don't know. I can't even see how many of y'all are on, but praise Yah for you. I think we got Teddy, Sister Monica, Sister Elisa Dawkins, Sister Latoya, Doll I Am, David, Molly, Keith. If I miss your name, charge it to my head, not to my heart, especially today. I really can't see in front of me right now. Money Green, Brother Yestel, Charles Green, or Greer, excuse me, probably. I'm going off memory now. Robin Barker, Sage. Yeah, weren't sure if I was making it. I wasn't sure either, in all honesty. Just trying to get signal. Looks like we found a nice little niche. We prayed. Like I said, I'm not even going to check it anymore. We prayed. We're going to believe y'all. How you doing, Sister Knight? How you doing, Sister Sharice? Sister Drea? How you doing, Mies? See, now I feel like I'm not saying it right. I'm saying the Mies part, right? Is it Misi? I think it's Mies. I can't remember. I'm sorry. I'm messing it up. I know. It takes me a while to get names. Once I get them, I got them. But it's taking me a minute. I apologize. How you doing, Sister Nadine? How you doing, Coco? How you doing, Sister Nadine? Amen. How you doing, More Israel? How you doing, Sister Deja? everybody, Brown Bunny, Trevor, Brother Alton, Sister Deborah, Nivan Barron. I'm not sure if I'm saying that rightly. Nivan, Sister Marion, Sister Patricia, Brother Eugene from the D. She travels. Miss Pierce. Everybody. Urban Royalties, my big sis. What's going on? How you doing? Hopefully my brother's doing well and getting some rest. Sir Stephen, if I didn't say so. Sister Betty Davis. Romac, if I didn't say so already. Everybody. Kamara Moody. That's what's up. Everybody come on in. Sister Barbara. Amen. Sister Beverly probably somewhere in here too. I hope I didn't miss my sister. I hope I didn't miss her. Everybody who's on here, we really appreciate you so much. We value you being on. I'm probably going to miss some names. I'm trying to think. Kente, Leet Pete, everybody. We appreciate you so much. So we honor you. How you doing, Brother Henry, Tamaya, Mr. Renaissance? Amen, everybody. So we appreciate you guys so much. We're thankful. We're grateful. We're honored to be in your presence today, to be in your midst today. We're thankful that you would spend a little bit of time with us on this rising again. Once again, I'm going to try my best to catch as many names as possible, catch as many people coming on, as many comments, but I have the sun directly in my face. And so I'm going to do my best. Today, you might just have to listen to me talk, even though that's what y'all do anyways, but I might not be able to answer as many questions. Praise y'all for you all for being on. I think I saw Justin and Rebecca come out in the corner of my eye. So we appreciate you so much. Marky, I think I saw. Salute. Actually, let me do it right. Salute. So to everybody who's on today, once again, today we're going to focus on the prison mindset. We're in the midst of a series, or the prison of the mind, right? The prison of the mind. Some people are still locked in the prison of the mind. And in this series, removing the leaven from our home. Leaven represents what? Sin. Sin is what? Anything that causes us to miss the mark. Right? How you doing, Henry? So sin is something that causes us to what? Anything that causes us to miss the mark. And a lot of us are missing the mark in many different ways in our lives. And a lot of people are still imprisoned in their mind. And what's happening with Yasta, what's happening especially in this part of the diaspora, people that are in the United States of America, especially if I be honest, a lot of us more so in the East Coast, but really all over the place, is that we are not people who are of one mind, one heart. We're not on one accord. We're not even in the same place. But even when we come to the same place, we're not on one accord. And the reason is because you've been delivered from Kemet, but you're still living like you're in Kemet. Or you've been delivered from Kemet, and now you want to be Pharaoh rather than be Israel. Right? Like, this is really what's going on a lot of the time, is that we have people that are more concerned about becoming the warden than they are about causing freedom. This is why when people ask questions, first of all, a lot of times we don't comprehend the difference anyways, because they'll say, well, the Bible talks about slavery and stuff, and how you can be slaves. First of all, it talks about indentured servitude. That word slave doesn't exist till you get to Slavs, and that word slave doesn't exist as far as chattel slavery with us, because that's not what we did. And slavery is something where there had to be laws against, because laws don't give rights, laws protect rights. So I had to protect the rights of anybody who somebody might try to enslave. Right? They had to put those laws in place. When you look at that, that's something we don't talk about that much. But the Most High saw that when we came out of Kemet, right? Hey, how you doing, Sister Sabrina? Hey, man. The Most High saw when we came out of Kemet, we were more than likely going to repeat the same stuff that we did, because that was the mindset. So when we got into the wilderness, right, when we got away from their civilization and began to get into the civilization the Most High had for us, he said, I've got to create some law, some things that protect right. How you doing, Sister Lynette? He said, I got to protect some law, or else they're going to trample each other's rights. Here we are being delivered out of chattel slavery and recognizing our sovereignty and realizing who we were the whole time and having a chance to initiate and live inside of freedom. Problem is, though, we're still bringing a lot of mess with us. We're still dealing with the prison of the mind. Right? It's great that you were delivered over the sea of reeds. It's great that your enemy was defeated, but if you're not careful, your enemy can still live in your mind for a long time to come. Right? See, when somebody's been a slave their whole life and somebody gives you freedom, your thought process of freedom is, I need to be like what I've seen. Hmm. Right? Um, I was talking with a brother last night. I don't know if I said this already or not, because I be thinking about what I'm gonna say before I come on here. So I'm not sure if I said this in my head, if I said this in practice, or if I said this to y'all. But if I did, I apologize. Forgive me for repeating myself. But I'm gonna say this part again. I was talking to a brother, not last night, but yesterday, and I won't tell you who he is or what his situation is. But he's in prison, and just like I was in prison, for something I didn't do, he's in prison for something he hasn't done. But he's been there for years now, right? And this brother is going through a lot of stuff, and he kept trying to apologize to me. He wasn't really apologizing, but he was highly apologetic. How you doing, Sister Tori? And I recognized why he was highly apologetic. He was highly apologetic because in his mind, he kept telling me, and he knows, hey, you know what? Um, I I'm kind of desensitized to certain things, because he talks about death candidly, because he talks about his life candidly. So in his life, he sees stuff like death. He's been in situations that you guys have seen all over the news. He's watched people, um, you know, um, be left in places where they die because of dehydration. He's watched people not be able to eat. He's listened to the government say that they're going to go ahead and take care of things, and then never take care of the issues and things like that. He's seen people violate habeas corpus. He's living that, and he's somebody who shouldn't have to live those things, right? But he's a great man of Lachem. He's coming into a great place in his life. He teaches a lot of brothers while he's in there, and he gets a lot of respect because he gives respect. However, he was like, hey, I got to be honest with you, right? And I got to be careful selective what I say, because I don't want everybody in his business. But he's like, I got to be honest with you, though, bro. He said, I know I talk about some of this stuff like it's nothing. And I said, no, I get it, because I've been in prison before, right? I've been imprisoned before. And so, as somebody who's been there, I know what it is to deal with a lot of craziness and a lot of foolishness, and to see stuff that is the norm, and to see stuff that you weren't even prepared for. Matter of fact, I wasn't no street cat at all. Somebody lied on me enough to where, after a while, somebody said, well, we have to put you in prison. And so I know what it is to be in a situation where you see things you weren't prepared for. And so after a while, you even lose touch with time. You lose touch with reality. You start thinking like, you saw newspapers when you first got in that are like 4 or 5, 6 months behind, and you're reading them, and everybody's reading it like it just happened today. And I'm like, I know this. I was reading this on the bus the other day. you know I was watching this the other day when I was walking. I was watching this on my phone. I was now you guys think this is what happens. This is something new. But when you're imprisoned in the mind, you have to realize, like, a lot of things that you are trying to do now. You hear what I'm saying? Like, a lot of stuff that you're trying to do now is not really now. You're dealing with something that you're still trying to come out of. And so, I told him, don't worry about it, don't trip off. And I won't bring him up anymore, because I won't want to mess up, our whatever confidence that we have. But I just want to put that out there, because when talking to him, and I didn't even know what I was going to talk about today. I didn't know what I was going to talk about today until basically as I was walking down here to get over where I am now. I still had no clue. But as I was walking down, I was like, the imprisonment of the mind, or being, having a that prison mindset. A lot of people are carrying a prison mindset. You've been freed, but you're still in the prison of your mind, right? Yeah, a lot of people are coming out of past experiences and haven't thought, how do I come into modern experiences, right? So when you're in the prison of your mind, you got to recognize and realize that you're dealing with a lot of stuff that might not have anything to do with where you are now. but you're still dealing with it. And a lot of people, once again, when you've been enslaved, when you dealt with the people who have been enslaved, as much as people don't want to hear this, as much as people might not want to agree with this, as much as this might make somebody feel upset or frustrated or mad or angry or whatever, if I'm dealing with the prison, somebody who's still dealing with coming out of something, and they've never healed, they've never really talked about it, they've never really been giving land, there's some things that you're going to carry. And see, in this series, once again, removing the leaven from our home, the word leaven in this context represents sin. Sin represents anything that causes you to miss the mark. And so we got to be honest as a people. I'm not talking about like what we would think. I'm talking about as far as lawful terms, right? The law says that there's a difference between a person and a people, right? A person is your status. A natural person could be a man or a woman. Persons are plural, but a people is a nation. And as a peculiar people, as a royal priesthood, as a chosen generation, right? As a holy nation, you are going through a peculiar problem. This problem is not something that everybody else has to go through, right? This is not everybody else's problem. I'm dealing with problems in my community that are different because I'm dealing with the people who have been in prison for a long time, right? And when you're dealing with people who've been in prison for a long time, you're dealing with a different mentality. You're dealing with a different mindset. You're dealing with a different situation. I'm dealing with people who have been imprisoned for a long time. And people who've been imprisoned for a long time, guess what they do? They do what people who are in prison do. They act like slaves. They act like they're not free. You can be free. Somebody who's been in prison, watch this. If somebody was in prison for a life sentence, let's just say a small life sentence, because there's different types of life sentences. Let's say your life sentence is 25 years. Think about 25 years ago. 25 years ago, did Google exist? That'd be 1998. I'm not even sure. I'm not saying it. I'm not saying it to say it didn't. I don't think it did, but I'm not even sure. But some people can't even imagine their lives without Google right now. Even though you were raised without it, right now, somebody said you can't Google something else for the rest of your life. Some of you would be like, what is that? I'm gonna get stuff. You forgot about the library. You forgot about, historians. You forgot about classes. But in 1998, that's a life sentence. 25 years ago, if somebody were to lose 25 years of life, Google doesn't even make sense. For some people, now we had cell phones, right? But cell phones were not the norm. Matter of fact, when I went to school, those people who had cell phones were like people that were doing really big things, right? Like people were still doing pages and stuff like that in 98, I believe. Right? Yeah. If I'm correct, I carried in my wallet. I had what you call it? I had a MCI card that I could use at the payphone, or AT&T card, or whatever it was, right? 25 years ago, life was a lot different. Now imagine somebody coming out of being in prison 25 years later. How you doing, Brother Jermaine? Like, think about this now. How you doing, Black Steel? Think about this. 25 years later, and I'm sorry, I know I can't see everybody's comments. I know I'm not catching the comments as much as I normally do. I just literally I can't see it. I got the sun in my eye today. I'm trying, right? Somebody said BlackBerry, things like that. Hey, how you doing, Prophetess Carolyn? Happy Born Day to you, by the way. I don't know if I sent you a message or not. Happy Born Day to you. Yeah, there were phone booths 25 years ago. Now we saw a phone booth and we stopped because we were like, we got to make sure our child sees a phone booth. like think about that, right? Our child, we made sure when he was little, we were like, hey, we're gonna make sure he has a rotary phone. right? We wanted him to have a rotary phone just so he could see one, so that it wouldn't be such a foreign concept when he got older. How you doing, Pearl? Right. So imagine 25 years, a life sentence. And some people got 40 years, 50 years, 60 years, 80 years, hoping that they'll be able to live from teenage sentences to be in their 90s. And if they can make it to their 90s, maybe they'll be able to breathe fresh air again one time before they die. Thank you for the love. That's an awesome responsibility to put on a person. Now imagine for 25 years though you were a chattel slave, and if you didn't do what the master said, you could be thrown in a hole. And in the hole, they let people go crazy, and people put fecal matter and smear it on the walls and stuff, and nobody cleans it up because they want it to be torture for the person that's in there. They might not feed you 3-4 days without letting you prepare your body for a fast, and the stuff that they feed you is not even food that is righteous food. Imagine that you watch death every day. You watch somebody hang themselves. Forgive me, trigger warning. Right? You watch men SA each other because they don't think they'll ever see a woman again. Or maybe because they're just into that stuff. You watch women SA each other. You watch male guards SA women. You watch female guards SA men. Thank you for the love. Appreciate it. Right? Imagine that this is a life sentence that you're coming out of. Imagine that you're somebody who has to fight for your life just about every day. Imagine it's kill or be killed. Not because anybody in there deserves that lifestyle, but because that's the way the lifestyle is set up. Imagine that you still have to go outside and pick cotton with somebody who's still on horseback, who still has a gun to watch over you. Imagine you still have to help build railroads. Imagine you have to fight forest fires and not get paid for it, at least not anything, more than pennies or $1 or $2 at the most an hour. And they put you there before the other firefighters because the other firefighters, they don't want to die. So they'll put you in the places to where the fire is the hottest, so to make sure that the other firefighters don't have to die. Your life doesn't mean anything. And you come out of all that, and somebody says, today you're free. And you say, I'm free. That person's not free. That person is now going to be dealing with PTSD. You think that person's free? You think that's freedom? I want us to be empathetic for a second, because if we're not careful, what we do is we go, well, they deserved it and they committed a crime and this and that. Well, how many people serve all these sentences and we know they didn't commit the crimes that they committed? How many of those people committed what you call crimes in self-defense, but because the people that they killed were high ups, they don't call it self-defense? And they have to live this lifestyle that they never were called to live, nor did they ever want to live. Do you know on death row that 90, what is it? 9, I want to make sure, I'm going to be nice because I don't want to go too high and be wrong. I believe it's like 99 point something percent, but let's just be safe. 97% of people that are on death row are there because they started off life without a father, or their father or mother were gone, or their father beat their mother, or their father was killed by their mother trying to defend herself, or their mother was killed by their father trying to defend themselves, or their parents were on drugs. We don't even take that into the mindset that child was living in prison. And what are they going to do? As soon as the parent is gone, what do we do? We don't help the child. What do? We say, let's make them a ward of state. Let's put them in the system. Let's play roulette. That's not even roulette. I'm sorry. Is that cribbage I'm thinking about? You can say roulette as well. Let's shoot dice. Because we know most people that end up in that system, they don't end up all right. Most. Not some, most. See, some of you will be upset because I'm using these terms, but I'm using them correctly. Not some, most people who end up in that system, they are not supposed to make it. And we know that. People are imprisoned in the mind, and they're bringing the same thing to this walk that we're trying to walk. And so we got to speak against it. We got to speak about it. We got to have real problems. We got to have real problems. Huh? We got to have real conversations about real problems. Yeah, emancipate yourself from mental slavery. And that Bob Marley said that. Why? Because he's a Garveyite. Garvey said, "Hey, we got to emancipate ourselves. This system is not set up to emancipate you, but we got to start. Emancipation starts with realizing what you must be emancipated from." Yeah, they set up a system to make sure fathers weren't around. We've talked about this before. Do you not know that the reason why, like y'all think, oh yeah, we need to make sure. And by the way, I'm not saying the father shouldn't take care of his children or his family or his wife. Y'all don't like husbands and wives. That's part of the problem. And you don't set it up for you to become husbands and wives. You like to date. And then if you get something out of dating, maybe you'll take care of it. Maybe you won't because you didn't think about marriage. That's part of the problem, right? However, if we just talk about stuff, I believe that the father should make sure that he takes care of his children and his wife. Because in my culture, a man, a father, right, who doesn't take a husband who won't take care of his wife and his family is less than an infidel, less than a non-believer, less than somebody who does not have fidelity, less than somebody who cannot be trustworthy, less than somebody who is cannot be faithful, right? So let me put that up front because somebody's gonna try and they're gonna try and mince your word. Oh well, see, you're just part of the patriarchy. No, 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 no. You are less than an infidel when you don't take care of your family. I believe that, right? And I'm not just talking about financially, right? I'm talking about, do you make sure your wife feels secure? Do you make sure she gets affection? Do you make sure that your children are loved? Do you make sure you say I love you to them? Do you make sure that you give a great example? Do you make sure that you're there for others? All those different things, right? That's that's being a father. That's being a husband. That's being a man in my culture. We're supposed to do all of those things, right? Without fail. And if we fail, it's because we die. So if I mess up in the moment, it's not because I failed. Because if I mess up in the moment, I will correct my mistakes. I will recalculate. I will make sure that I aggressively love you in a manner in which nobody else will ever love you again. I will make sure that my gift and my calling is done in such a manner to where my son will have no choice but to say, I will do what his father did and do it better than what his father did because his father lived it every day, not just in front of the camera, but when the camera is off. Those things being said, though, hallelujah, right? Also, let's be honest about the system when it comes to uh, child support because they're not in the same system we're in. So I believe that every father should take care of his child. But do you not know that judges, which by the way aren't real judges, they're priests, and they work for the legislative branch. The only judges that are real, they work for the judicial branch. But we'll leave that alone. These fake judges who are priests over this system that has a false Kemetic vibe to it, where George Washington is your father, and it's a corporation, 28 USC 3002 15A. These judges, they get their pension out of child support. So the more people pay child support, the higher their pension. As much as I believe a father should take care of his child, you must comprehend that's not the way we need to do this. Is that the best you got? You got to come stronger, right? So you must comprehend that if a father doesn't take care of his child, yes, he's less than an infidel. But do you not realize that these judges, for most states, I can't say all states, but for most of these states, look it up for yourselves. These states are getting what? Child support from people. They want you to have your marriage, right? They want you to have your marriage married to the state. You can have a marriage on a private contract. Marriage is sex. Sex is marriage. Consummation. So if somebody can have, watch this. Is it legal to have a mail order bride? Question. Watch this. I want to show you something. See, this is why you got to know how law works and how they flipping this thing on you. Do people get mail order brides? Same thing with the foster system, yeah. Do people get mail order brides? If somebody can get a mail order bride, right? If somebody can get a mail order bride, then guess what? That means that they are, because what is marriage? Marriage is to be consummated. What does that mean to consummate a marriage? Right? Let's not make marriage so mystical that it's no longer practical. Let's be very practical in what we say. Because somebody's gonna try and say, no, you're not right, this and that. No, no. Let's be practical. Let's look at law. Let's be obedient to the law. Let's be sovereign in our mindset. Let's look at law. Y'all don't like law. This is why y'all keep getting beat up. Okay, to be intimate, right? To have knowledge, to know somebody means to be intimate with. That's why they used in the South, even to this day, a lot of Southern states, you don't just be like, oh, this is my friend. and it's a male and you a female, or you a female and you say, "This is my friend," that's a male. Because when you say friend, they'll say, "Oh, that's your friend," or you say, "Oh yeah, I know her," and they'll be like, "Oh, you know her," right? Because they still y'all don't realize, especially in the southeast, right? Because this is where people were coming mostly from Britain, right? Like if you take, "Hey, what's up, y'all? How y'all doing out there? How y'all doing? You doing all right? You doing all right, boy? You doing it? What you doing? What you doing? What you out there doing?" And you speed it up a little bit, and it starts to begin to sound like, pip pip cheerio, stuff like that, because those are the people that came in. They're the closest to Britain, to English. And even though you think you're not English anymore, you still are, because that's what you speak, that's what you live, that's the culture that you live, right? You get a little further, right? You start sounding, the drawl starts getting a little bigger, right? Alabama, stuff like that. You get a little further, or you get actually to places like Louisiana. Louisiana, they didn't speak English; they spoke French, right? So what you were as a slave, that's what you did, right? So you got to realize these things and what they're doing, right? But anyways, you have to know. So to know somebody is to be what? To be intimate, to consummate. That's a little sidebar. I'm back on track, right? Shalom. So, right, but you got to recognize, right, what's going on, so they know. So when they say friend, intimate, they use, that's proper English. They use that down there still, because they still speak a little bit more English than what you speak. You think because they speak it with a drawl, they don't speak correctly, or you say they don't speak. No, they speak correct. They speak more correct English than you do. As a matter of fact, some of them speak more correct English than English people who live in the UK do. They just have a drawl on it, and y'all think that it means they speak it. No, no, no. They say they speak the way that they do because they're actually closer to English than you are. Literally, they're closer to English. So when they say they know, to be intimate, to consummate, right? So to consummate your marriage, that's what makes your marriage legal, right? If you were to get married and walk down the aisle with somebody and y'all never consummated your marriage, guess what they would say? They would say you can annul the marriage. Why? Because it's as if the marriage never existed. Why? Because you never consummated, you never became intimate, you never knew the person. So therefore, the contract that you signed with the government as the third party is null and void, which is why a lot of your pastors and a lot of your ministerial staff, they make sure that they go to the state to say that I'm qualified to be able to marry people. Why? Because they have to obey the law too. So somebody has to govern what it is that you're being married. If you get a private marriage done, like we're even looking at doing today, right? What happens? We are saying that we are all private citizens, and we're going to allow Yah to be the one who leads. So as the third party, don't represent the state. I represent the corporation. No, I won't even say the corporation. Excuse me, that's bad. I represent the kingdom of heaven. It'll be written on contract, and those that might be able to see it, guess what they'll do? They'll write an affidavit saying they witnessed what happened, saying that we have decided that this private matter will stay private, and we have been people who have seen what's happened. We've seen the contract. We know the word. They showed us. They told us. The pastor told us what it is that these people are entering into. And if anybody has any doubts, we are witnesses to tell you that this is what we all agree upon. Now that we've all agreed upon that, when they consummated, this comes into being. And if they have any issues, then they should be able to work it out within themselves. If not, we're prepared with our affidavits, our paperwork, to be able to come later on and say, hey, we were witnesses. They were supposed to do these things that's in this contract that they both signed up for. Right? But see, we're so stuck in the state. We're so stuck in the mindset that says, I'm supposed to make sure. I'm stuck in the mindset that says, I'm supposed to ensure and make sure that the state is more satisfied than the Most High. Why? Because the state still has you on lockdown. You're still imprisoned in the mind. You're still bringing a prison mindset. And so now what happens is what you see in these camps, you see in people who say that they're Israel. Not all Israel is Israel. Not all skin folk is kinfolk. Remember that. But you see these people who are saying they're Israel, and now they're saying, I'm going to control the way you get married. Well, control how? Well, I'm going to say that you should look like this. You should talk like this. I'm going to tell you by my standard what it is. Your standard doesn't matter. Your standard is an opinion, and your opinion doesn't matter in this case. The King of Kings, he's the only one, and he doesn't have an opinion. He gives contextual facts. Your opinions are feckless in this. Your feelings are feckless. They have no result. They have no mindset in this. Be careful on those rocks there. So they have no they have no mindset in this, right? They shouldn't have a mindset. Rather, how you doing, Reginald? They shouldn't come to the table. How you doing, Sister Lorraine? They should not be presented in any way, shape, or form. I don't want your opinion. How you doing, Collins? I don't want, I don't need, I don't desire your opinion. I do not. Right? I want what the king says because I'm in the kingdom, his domain. Right? But see, what's happening is we're taking the world's domain and trying to bring it in. You're trying to take private corporations that own people. Because whether your prison belongs to the state, see, here's the thing y'all don't even want to talk about. You know how they be saying, well, all these prisons are owned by private corporations, and somebody will fight back and say, no, some of these are owned by the state. Some of these are owned by the government. Some of these blah, blah, blah. Okay, the country is not a country. The United States is a corporation. So that means every prison is corporation owned, whether it's a private corporation or a public corporation. The United States is just a public corporation. Matter of fact, it's publicly traded. That's why your dollar goes up and down, does it not? Does your dollar not get traded? Does it not go up and down? Do you not use your dollar to trade for things? Traded industry. How you doing, Minister Tamara? Is that not how this works? See, we've been tricked. You're still in a corporation that owns slaves, and you're trying to say that freedom looks like slavery. But if I'm free from that domain, then my domain doesn't look like their domain. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. People don't want to go there, but that's real. If I'm free from their domain, then my domain does not look like their domain, does it? That's freedom, a free domain, a free dominion, a free place to dominate. If my people who are called by my name, stop right there. Stop right there. If my people means nation. If you're the people of New York, then that's a nation of New York. You didn't know that every state is a country. It's 50 united countries, 50 United States. So if my people, if my nation, if my nation who's called by my name, my sovereign name, my authority, my sham, name is authority. So if my nation who is called by my name, stop right there. What's your name? And if you're a nation, do you talk to your nation? I mean, let's forget, do you eat your nation's food? Do you grow your own food? Do you have your own capital? Do you have your own gasoline if that's what you choose to use? Do you have your own businesses? Are you using each other's products? But let me just backtrack. If my people who are called by my name, if my nation, do you talk to anybody who's part of your nation? Whatever your camp is called? I mean, whatever your camp is called, whatever your church is called, whatever your affiliation, how often do you talk to your people? Do you have a board of directors of any kind? Because in a country, United States of America, they have a president, a vice president, people who are in the cabinet. That's a board. Nations have to have people in place. But y'all are busy saying nobody should be in any place of anything. Who's in charge? Who do you defend that's in charge? What's the secret service that you have set up for the kings and queens in your life? Our sisters are busy telling you they don't feel protected. You busy telling them why they need to not be protected and just be in the background and cover up their whole body and have nothing that they're supposed to do and this and that. And if I talk about it, you call me a simp and this and that or whatever. Like, you have no nation. You don't want to protect women because you don't want to protect nations. You can't have a nation without a wife. Hello, somebody. How you doing, Sister Betty Russell? I got to say last names because there's so many Bettys now. Right? But appreciate you being all right. Like, think about that. Why don't you protect women? You don't protect women. You don't protect wives. You don't protect daughters. You don't protect them. Why? Because in your mind, You don't protect nations. Say what you will about how the colonial construct, social construct, say what you will about how the white man treats his wife. He protected better than you. Be mad at me all you want. Let the slings and arrows go forth, right? But I got to tell you the truth. I got to make a decision to be or not to be. That is the question. Whether it's just nobler in the mind to deal with the slings and arrows, right? I'll deal with them. Put them on me. Bring it on, right? Because at the end of the day, you said not better than you. Great. I'm glad that one brother has stood up and he's the only person and you're the barometer of everybody. I'm glad, right? Because I treat my wife with respect too. But hear what I'm saying? There's somebody that's listening. If the shoe fits weird, if it doesn't, take it off, right? So if it applies to you, change. If it doesn't apply to you, see that there's somebody probably applies to and help them to change. But let's be honest. There's some things that we're still doing that comes out of our diaspora because of the fact that we still have not healed and made sure that we've decided and have not made sure that we put things in order in place. Once again, so when you say better than you, that's great. So you own your own gas that you use. You own your own food that you use. You own your own water that you drink. I mean, heck, you shouldn't have to worry about getting some water from somebody else when you can catch it from the air. It should make sure that you have some land, if you have land that has water on it. Right. So if you're taking care of yours, but what I'm saying is that we as a nation, did you hear that? We as a nation, you're not going to tell me that everybody in this, first of all, you're not going to tell me we even have the nation we're supposed to if you don't live with each other. You find more joy in saying you from Brooklyn. Where Brooklyn at? Brooklyn in the house, without a doubt. Right? 808-818-202. Chi-Town's finest. I'm from West Side of the country, or I'm from the West in H-Town. I got the D in Dallas, where we get dirty, but also we got the D in Detroit. But where your people at? You hear what I'm saying? What is your vision to make sure that you don't have to buy from any company that's not owned by your diaspora and by your group and by your nation? Where's that at? That's what I'm talking about. I'm not trying to say that you guys should be talked down to about this, right? What I'm saying is we don't have a vision to deal with it, right? I'm not denying, I'm not saying that there's no man out here that's a great husband, because I consider myself to be one of the greatest, because I got the greatest wife as far as look, I'm biased, of course, but as far as I'm concerned, I got the greatest wife, the greatest woman, the greatest daughter, the greatest love to ever exist in physical flesh, and my wife. Right. And so that means I'm required to give her the greatest love. So every day I got to get better and better and better to give her the greatest love. I'm not talking about that nobody takes care of their wife. What I'm saying is, as a nation, are you going to sit here? We can't sit here and say that as a nation. I'm not here just building up views. OK, you hear what I'm saying? I'm not here just building up views. I'm trying to build nation. That's what we're called to do. Psalm 122 says that we should be a compact nation. We should come together. Israel should come together. That's part of the thing that's missing here, is that we don't call each other. We don't talk to each other. We're not worried about, we don't look brother to brother. What can we do? Hey, how can we raise this up? Hey, let's deal. Watch this. Here's something that would be so awesome that would mess, but it would mess you up. What if once a month, all we did as a nation was said that all of us would sow into a particular business? We're going to sow into your business this month. We're going to sow into your business this month. And we just keep going and going and going and going down the line. And then once we sow into your business and your business is gone and you got all the ability to get your shirts together, get your food together, to get your season together, to get your healing stuff together, to get your prayer closet together, to get this together, get your coins together, get whatever you're doing together. Once we got your stuff up in order, we're only going to use you. So don't let us down. We've been trying to get people to just sow in the land. YLP 83. Like, if we could get the land, we could start giving you food. So we're still going to try and trade food, but it's going to be a lot harder to trade. Well, we easily could have just made sure that we got the land, and then we could just give. and make sure that if we buy food from anywhere, we should buy it off of something where we already grow the food. You said you got to sow in the needs first. Yeah. So do you need food? Sow it to somebody who's got food together. Do you need healing? Right? We've got a herbalist on deck. Sow into somebody who can give you that. Do you need somebody who can make sure that they can help you to put your business plan together? We got people that can do that. Do you need somebody to make sure that they can teach you? If you're going to give tithe to somebody, you need to make sure you can learn how to live off of 10% of your land. We got somebody who can do that. Do you need a better social media presence for your business? We have somebody that can do it. See what I'm saying? Do we need better marriages? We have people that do marital coaching. Do we need homeschooling? We got people that will bless you and teach you how to do that. You see what I'm saying? We're so busy, right? Needs. Yes. What are your needs? What are your nation's needs? You've been taught that if you talk nation, that somehow, some way you're bad because you're a nationalist. Well, you're not going to tell me to pledge allegiance. You're not going to tell my child to pledge allegiance to a flag. How you doing, brother TJ? Right? You're not going to tell my child to pledge allegiance to a flag and then say that I'm wrong for telling him he should build his own nation. Time is done for the dumb stuff. And I'm not calling y'all dumb. I said for them. Time is done for what people call dumb. Dumb really just means you don't have the ability to speak. And we don't have the ability to speak up with our own culture and our own nation, our own tongue. But my babies are at stake. That means my grandbabies are at stake. So I can't play with it no more. I'm done playing with this. I'm done acting like this stuff that we're doing is cool. I'm done acting like, like us mistreating each other and us doing this. No. This stuff is not cool. Well, you saying your child take a knee at the flag? I mean, take a knee, do whatever, or just don't even worry about the flag. The only reason your child is worried about the flag is because we worried about it. Why are we worried about the flag? That flag has more bloodshed than any other flag that's out right now for our people. I can't say any other flag. How about this? That flag has more outrage. We should have more outrage about those stars and bars and those 50, those 50 stars, those 13 stripes. We should have more outrage about that than we should have outrage about the Confederate flag, because the Confederate flag was around for 4 years. Somebody do me a favor. If you got a calculator, access to a calculator app, whatever, somebody do me a favor. Look up. I want you to divide. How long has the United States of America been around? Let's see. We'll start, even though it's been around longer than this, but we'll start 1776. That's where people like to go, even though they say, forget the past. Why you bringing up the past? But people love 1776. So let's start there. So 1776, 1876, 1976, that's 200 years. Now let's go what? 86, 96, 2006, 2016. Then we add 7 more years. So that's 47 years. So 247 years. Somebody do me a favor. Divide 4, right? Do 4 divided by 247. Somebody do me a favor. Do 4 divided by 247. Whatever we get, that's the percent. Whatever we get, that's the percent. That's going to be our percentage. 4 divided, no, not 200, not 247 divided by 4. 4 divided by 247. No, we're getting the wrong thing. That can't be it. It's got to be what? 4 divided, y'all are putting 4 over 270 or 247. Okay, there we go. It's 0.01619. So that's 1.6%. 1.6%. And it's going to continue to get less and less and less. 1.6% of what y'all deal with is the Confederate flag. As if the North didn't have slaves themselves either. And of course, the Confederacy goes back because Southern slave owners is what, the South and the North was the fight that even started what happened in 1776. Slavery against capitalism. That's what the fight was. So that fight's been going on. way before that, where a lot of people said we need capitalism. We'll still have chattel slavery because remember the 13th Amendment never got rid of chattel slavery. Actually, it's got to be. Hold up, that's that. I don't even know. Well, we'll leave that there. Right? We'll leave that there. But you got to realize and recognize, like, you're still dealing in slavery. Chattel slavery, the 13th Amendment chattel slavery, is still allowed. It's just allowed because we arrest you now. So once again, when you say you're free, but you still consider yourself American, how free are you? He says, were there slave ships, or were some of our forefathers already here? So both. I'm not too far from Baltimore, but I'm not too far from Baltimore right now. You would discover that right in Baltimore, that movie y'all know as Roots. Go to the harbor in Annapolis, and you'll see who you call Kunta Kinte. He's actually right there, and or he has a big statue there, and they have the statue like he's teaching children of the next generation. Or go right in Baltimore, there's a museum. Very few people know about it. It's attached to a church that very few people remember, but it used to be a church that, it was a church that people like Frederick Douglass spoke at. I don't know if Sojourner Truth did, but Frederick Douglass spoke there. Um, Martin Luther King Jr. probably spoke there. I think once, it was supposed to. I don't know if he made it. I'm trying to think of Clarence Thomas. Not Clarence Thomas. Yeah, Clarence Thomas. Am I thinking of the right person? Thurgood Marshall. Thurgood Marshall. I didn't want to make that mistake. That's two different brothers altogether, mindset and everything. Thurgood Marshall spoke there. So a lot of and that church and the museum is built partly out of, and they have steps in the museum that are built partly out of. They're connected to each other, and they actually have steps that go up. These steps are made out of the ship that Kunta Kinte came on. So there's many different places where there's ships, slave ships, people that came in chains. We know about this. Matter of fact, go to Wall Street. It's really weird that people do this. Go to Wall Street. People that came in, they'd have a lot of them. They were natives, of course, too, because the word Negro in American sense means Native American, and it means slaves that were brought in as well. And slaves were not just brought in from the United States of America, natives that lived here. They got them from Canada, they got them from Mexico, they got them from Guatemala, they got them from the Caribbean, they got them from South America, they got them from Asia, they got them from Europe, they got them from Africa. So the slave trade is bigger than this, that. But yeah, there are some of us that were already here. Matter of fact, there were already Africans way before Columbus and any of those cats that y'all think of, because our history, we only think of slave history, right? Because of the prison of the mind. But way before then, you had many different people that were already coming over to the Americas. There are pyramids. The most pyramids are not in Kemet, even though a lot of the Kemetic pyramids have been taken down over years anyways. But the most pyramids are not in Kemet, nor are they in Kush, or what you call Nubia, right? But the most pyramids on Earth, right, as far as the most in one place, are actually going to be in places like Georgia, Mississippi. How you doing, Sister Judith? Right? Matter of fact, if we want to keep it real, the biggest pyramid in the Americas is what? Is in Illinois. So this whole mindset that we have, and of course we don't even talk about when the world was all together pre-flood, right? Even in the Bible it talks about something called Peleg, right? Or a person called Peleg, the son of Avda, or one of the sons of Hebrew, the second son, and his name literally is talking about the earth splitting apart. But if you don't believe that, y'all call it Pangea. You said, question, what happened to what people? The natives, the Africans, they're still around. They're us. I don't know. That's what we're talking about. They're still here. Oh no, that's not respectfully. You're absolutely right. Christopher Columbus can't discover anything, but you know why that is. Once again, see, that's a mindset thing. Where do you think that came from? It's something that's historical documentation. We just don't think about it or don't care about it. But there's a reason why Christopher Columbus, in the Western mindset, discovered America, right? How you doing, Gasm? Right? There's a reason why he discovered America in their mindset, lawfully, in their law, their legalese. The Pope was on board with it. They had something that's really simple. There you go, the doctrine of discovery. Thank you, Brother Vincent. That's all it was. Yeah, there you go, Brother Keith. You said you as Indian. First of all, I wouldn't be an Indian because Indians come from India. But if you're talking about a Native American, yes, I'm actually Tisalagi, Anakitoya. You would call me possibly Cherokee, right? And if you don't like the fact that my father's side comes from that, right? If you don't, if that's not enough for you, because my mother's side is West African. That's where I get Shui from. That's where I'm Yashadal from. My father's side. And also, too, you don't want to talk about the fact that they found Israelite stuff, which means that Israelites, West African Israelites specifically, were already mixing and matching. We already know this because we have Israelite writing that goes back before Columbus was here, that they have that they actually admitted to a long time ago. It's actually even was put on Fox News. So Fox was doing that to show you how woke they were. Right. And if you know about the Trail of Tears, you still have to give it to us anyways, because the Trail of Tears, Cherokees had already decided they were going to put their lot in with the Confederacy. We became traitors to our own people, and we started enslaving others people who were colored like us. And those people were were African slaves, supposedly African slaves, or they were slaves from other native tribes as well, that just they all labeled Negro. They brought us over on the Trail of Tears when they themselves were on the Trail of Tears. So I have this interesting dichotomy within my own family. And once you get over to Oklahoma, their land is then stripped from them even more so. Lincoln says you got to have less land than what the Confederates gave you, and you're gonna have to give up slavery. So then we who were Cherokee had to give up those who were African as slaves, or at least those we thought were African as slaves. And then guess what happened? After that, we had to mix and match together because that's all we had was each other. And so there's very few Cherokee, at least the ones who, there's very few Cherokee that went on the Trail of Tears who can say that they have no black blood. And there's very few black people who went on the Trail of Tears that can say they don't have Cherokee, or there's other ones, right? Seminole, Cherokee, etc. Right? There's the 5 groups, the Choctaw, etc. So there's very few natives who went down the Trail of Tears that can't say they have African in them. And there's very few Africans that can't say they have Cherokee in them. That's why we have to introduce $5 Indians to the equation. And then that's why we have to not only introduce $5 Indians, but then we also have to have a conversation as far as what? As far as blood quantum. How native are you? See, somebody looks at me and says, you're not as native as so-and-so. It don't get more native than I am. Right? But according to some, if I don't have that ID card, yep, and some of us are traced to the Gullah as well. Because some of us, especially if you talk about Seminole, some of the Seminole Wars are technically the Gullah Wars, and the Gullah Wars are technically the Seminole Wars that were fighting together. We fought for our own freedom. Look up the Seminole Wars and the Gullah Wars. You freed yourself, but they told you it was because of the North. You were fighting against them before 1776. You were fighting against them before the Kansas Wars in the 1850s. You were fighting against them before they seceded and became traitors to their own country in 1860 and 1861. You were fighting against them well after 1865. You're still fighting against them. So the reason why you can't get stuff is, watch this. So natives have to bow down and say, I've got enough blood and I won't marry even other native tribes that might be cousins of mine, because if I marry into them, that my children can't inherit the land. So natives are getting to a place to where now y'all inbreeding. Now you begun to be inbreeders. You begin to look like those who oppressed you. Because guess what? The kings and queens. I forget what it's called. I was just watching this with my wife this rising. There's something, I forget what it's called, the something jaw. or the something jawbone or something like that, whatever it is. And it's based off, and if you look at a lot of these old pictures, there's some of these pictures, you start looking at these people's jawbones and they look really weird. Like, not just, I'm not just talking about they have long jaws. I'm not talking about that they have distinguished. I'm talking about like it looks off, awkward. They even, they try to paint people, right? Like, that's why y'all like strong jawbones. Like you guys don't recognize like the reason why you like blue eyes is because the Greeks that were in power that actually look more like my color than what you guys think. But the Greeks that were in power, what they did was they started lying to people and saying that things that were recessive meant that they had power from their gods, from their deists, their deities. And so they would tell people, oh, okay, you know what? If you have blonde hair and blue eyes, it means that since our whole family has it, it means the gods have selected us, because you can't just become a ruler because you've been called, you can't just become a ruler unless you're from our family. So our family, we're the rulers, we're the kings. So everybody who's going to be a ruler, you have to come through our family. Therefore, since that's the way that it works, the gods have said that our blonde hair and blue eyes, it's a symbol that we are supposed to be kings and queens. That's what they taught people, right? You may know that, you may not know that. All right. So that's where they came from before Hitler, right? That's why I said not all skin folk, not all skin folk is kin folk. Not all black folk should be your heroes, right? Not everybody that's got dark skin means that they tell the truth. Okay, that's something. Once again, you come from a mindset where white people told you that about themselves, and now you're trying to reverse that and say everybody black must be positive. That's not how that works. All right, but nevertheless, that's why people believe that, right? So it's the same thing. Like you had all these people who were incest, into incest, and they married into the same families, right? All these royal families that exist today, all these royal bloodlines that exist today, they are from the same family, right? The Russians married in with the Prussians married in with the Croatians married in with the English married in with the French married in with the Spanish married in with the Irish married in, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Right? That's really what's going on. And so they all, if you look at them, they all look like each other, but they're also all inbred. And so certain things that you guys think are beauty standards, they come from these people just being inbred. So y'all say you like somebody with a strong chin. When you say strong chin, it's because these cats started getting chins that were out of control. So they told the people, hey, the king is the standard of male, of being handsome. And so if he has a long chin, that's what's handsome. So that's why you say today, oh, okay, he got a long chin. It's a noble chin. He got a big forehead. It's noble brow, right? That's why they say that's why men that are balding, a lot of times you'll think that they're smart. Did you ever know that? Do you ever notice that? Oh, it's too windy right now. Y'all can't hear me. It's too windy. Having a hard time here. Okay, well, I don't know. I'll try my best. I don't know what I can do about wind. If it's too windy, it's too windy. I don't know. I don't know what I can do. I'm really not in a place where I can cover up the wind. Unless y'all want to wait like 20, 30 minutes for me to reset somewhere. So I don't know. I guess we'll wait some. So when you're talking about somebody's chin and stuff like that, or you talk about their brow, you say they have a large brow. Why? Because somebody who was going bald, they wanted you to believe. Somebody going bald, they wanted you to believe that person was smart. So that's why they say noble brow. You'll actually hear high brow. High brow means they got a big forehead. If somebody's low brow, what does that mean? It means that they got a lower brow. This is what you're dealing with. This is what you're dealing in when you're dealing with these things in these situations. Right? This is what we're dealing with we're dealing in with these situations. If you're on the podcast, thank you for being on. We appreciate you. We'll try to talk to you guys in a little bit. Amen. So this is what you're dealing with. You're not dealing with truth. You're not dealing with facts. You're dealing with somebody who's trying to get you to believe something that is inaccurate. Right? You're trying to deal with somebody who wants you to believe inaccuracy as truth. I mean, let's just keep it a buck. Is it accurate that because somebody has a big forehead, that they're smarter? Can somebody have a big head and not know what they're talking about? Is it possible? Right? That's possible, right? I apologize. I really can't see that well now. I'm trying though. But see, we got to look at these things. See, we don't want to admit that there's a possibility that somebody got us. Right? Somebody got us. Somebody got us on these things. Somebody told us that something was factual and we just believed it. And we're still using it. We haven't been freed. Why is there colorism? Question. Why is there colorism? Y'all tell me. Why is there a such thing as colorism? Y'all tell me. Why is there such thing as colorism? Where did it come from? Did it come from you? Where does colorism come from? At least modern colorism. How you doing, Sister Valor? Right? Where did colorism come from? It doesn't come from you. It was designed, right? Colorism was designed. People out here talking about you not Israel because you a certain color. That's wickedness. Yahshua dealt with that. He dealt with racism. He had to talk about that over and over and over again. Stop this. You can be 100% Israel in the flesh and still be 0% Israel in your spirit. That's a highbrow yourself. Self-snitching, self-joning. I'm just saying, right? Like colorism is something, like y'all still using the same stuff. You know how them light-skinned folk is. That's what y'all, that's how you operate. That's how you talk about each other. That's what you sound like. You know what, man, shoot, he got that good hair. Some of y'all would look at my hair now and be like, oh, that ain't good hair. Yeah, you know what? Like when I was younger, when I used to let my hair just grow, my hair, if it just grows out, like if I were to cut it down, because that's what a lot of people want, because that's what your oppressors told you were supposed to do with slaves. You weren't supposed to have your own hair. But if I were to like cut my hair down and let it grow out, I'm not going to because of my vow. But if I were to cut my hair down and let it grow out, guess what would happen? It would actually get wavy. I got natural waves. I just decided to let it naturally go. See, waves is just the beginning of your hair. Y'all thinking waves is something that you're supposed to keep because y'all like to keep beginning things. And then some of y'all like to do the whole brush 7,000 times a day, put on the wave cap, do all this stuff and have something that's unnatural. I'm 39, got your hair growing for the first time ever. Yeah, right? Like we're in an imprisoned mindset. We believe that what people who imprisoned us, this is what we believe. We honestly and earnestly believe that those who imprisoned us are the people who should still be setting the standards for us today. Right? Your suit and tie, it makes you a gentleman. But what is a gentleman? I don't even like saying ladies and gentlemen anymore because it recognizes something that we shouldn't have any part of. George Washington was a gentleman. Right? George Washington is a gentleman. Was George Washington a slave owner? Amen, Sister Monica. Was George Washington a slave owner? Right? Hear what I'm saying? But he's a gentleman. Right? Were ladies and gentlemen, those who were married to these gentlemen: Thomas Jefferson, Virginia slave owner; George Washington, Virginia slave owner; Madison, Virginia slave owner; Polk, Virginia slave owner; Monroe, Virginia slave owner; Taylor, Virginia slave owner. Heck, people love to talk about what's his face in the South, General Lee, Virginia slave owner; Andrew Jackson, Tennessee slave owner, went to school in Virginia. Like, what are we doing out here? Why would I want to dress like a gentleman? What does that have to do with me? What does a suit and tie represent for me? The people who wore suit and ties, they enslaved me, and if they put me in one, they gave me a top hat, gave me a ridiculously big hat, so that everybody would say, "Ooh, he's the biggest house Negro out there." Some people still can't wait to wear their top hat, to be Greek. To be boule. You don't have to agree with what I'm saying, by the way. I'm just trying to tell you something that's cultural. See, like these people don't want you to realize that they're causing separation. Like, think about how wild this is. Is that we need you to join a Greek fraternity that gives you all this alphabet and keeps you in submission to a culture that's not your own. And if you do that well enough and keep each other separated from each other, then you guys can make sure that you take care of each other, kind of, sort of. Pay your dues. Y'all want to hear me? Pay your dues. I don't pay tithes, but I pay dues to my fraternity. I don't pay tithes, but I pay dues to my sorority. I don't pay to make sure that people in my community go to school, but I make sure that we damn sure gonna look great when we put our purple on and we put our diamonds up and we got our canes out and we make sure that we are alpha this, omega this, psi this. It's a Willie Lynch mentality, like colorism. Willie Lynch told you he was going to separate you off of age, sex, color, which plantation you're on, what fraternity you in, what college did you go to, what city you live in, what set you rep. He said that's what he said we're going to even have y'all fight over the size of the plantation. Whose city is bigger than whose? Matter of fact, it's so dangerous. You fight for slavery. And when somebody says that, you don't like it when I say it. You literally fight for slavery. How do I know this? Because you like basketball, NBA, you like football, NFL, you pay for the stuff. There's one thing to like it, but to pay into it. You pay for MLB, you pay for MLS, you pay for tennis, whatever it is. Well, tennis is a little different. And when you do that, guess what you do? You have owners of teams. And you get mad when somebody, see, some of y'all big mad at like Lamar Jackson and don't realize Lamar Jackson is like, I want something that anybody should get, which is fully guaranteed money for what I do. And y'all mad at him or whatever. But he got to take on millions of people on his shoulders. He got to represent a whole city, a whole state. He got to represent other quarterbacks. He's a gladiator out there. Y'all had this weird philosophy. Gladiators, if you were in Rome, they have more honor than y'all have now. Because in Rome, if you were a gladiator and you were winning and you were making your team look great and you were doing things to make the owner of you look great, he made sure he took care of you. You want women, he got you women. You want wine, he got you wine. You want food. Now, obviously, he should have let you be free, but the gladiator was willing to be there because, hey, if I'm going to go out and put my life on the line and I could die every time I go out there, least you could do is take care of me. Lamar Jackson says, take care of me. And y'all sitting up there, oh, no, he's greedy. He's this and that. Which one of you right now, when in your contract, with your place of employment, that if you work for them and you get hurt on the job, that they should pay you less money than what your value is? Hear me, somebody. Can I say that again? This is how little sense you make. Which one of you that on your job and your contract that you have a clause in there that says that if I get injured for you on the job, that when it's time for me to come back to work, I should make sure that I don't get paid what I deserve next time until I prove myself worthy. That's what y'all sound like when you talking about Lamar Jackson. That's what you sound like. Arguing for Massa, the owner. He's an owner. The NFL is his plaything. These owners don't make money off of the teams that they make off of. They do this for fun, y'all. It's just another thing that they can have control in your life about. They don't care about, like the Walmart family. They just bought the Denver Broncos. They don't care about the Denver Broncos. They don't care about Denver. They bought it because they're like, okay, we can control people. We can put Walmart signs over everything. We can have commercials. We can make people think that we're great towards people. People might shop more with us and from us if we go ahead and do this and that. They don't care about you. You think the Walmart family cares about John Elway? You think they care about Shannon Sharp and his position on things? They'll treat Shannon Sharp nice because they're hoping that Shannon Sharp will say something nice about them on a television show. They don't care about you. But you're still enslaved. It's hard. It's hard to deal with the people when we don't realize that we're still enslaved. Oh, it's extra hard. It's really hard to deal with people when you try to tell them that you're still acting like a slave. They don't want to hear it, but it's true. Still acting like a slave. Why do you guys want your players to come to the combine? Remember I was talking about earlier how I could prove about the stuff that was coming in, slaves that were coming into the East Coast? I don't even think I finished that thought. Right? If you look at it correctly, what's going on there? If we look at it correctly, this is what's happening. This is what's going on. Okay? When you're looking at these chattel slaves, this is what's happening. This is what's going on. They come to the combine, right? The same way that they brought people into the East Coast, the same way they brought them into Massachusetts, the same way they brought them to Wall Street. You might not know this, but when they brought slaves to Wall Street, that's where you get your stocks and bonds from. That's why they trade that stuff still. The slave was the stock, and what you paid for them was the bonds. Matter of fact, they were in bonds, and you paid a bond to make sure that that stock that was in bond could belong to you. Right? And so you have what? Stocks and bonds. This is right on Wall Street. Go there to Wall Street. Y'all talk about, go there so you can make sure that you see the memorial to what happened on September 11th. Go there. There's graves still there at Wall Street, and you and you couldn't even bury like people. If somebody died there, they wouldn't allow the slaves to come over the other side of the wall. Very few of them could come over and bury somebody. Those places still exist to this day, right? You're not thinking about that though, because in your mind you're thinking what? Oh, well, that's old stuff. Why are you bringing up old stuff? You listen to this stuff. No, that's not old. That's what's going on today. They haven't changed anything. Your birth certificate is a stock and bond. You don't have to hear it, but it's real. Your birth certificate is a stock and bond. You didn't know that? Your stock is on there. Yes, it is. Yes, it is. Your name is on there, but it's not even your name. It'll always be some weird version of your name, some perverted version of your name. not what your name actually is. They do that every single time. Every single time. Yes, they do. Yeah, every time. And people think we're just making this stuff up. No, go look. Go to Wall Street. Go look in the memorials. Well, they should be memorials. They don't really do memorials for us, but go and look there at the graves where they just threw bodies in there, and they studied these babies. They've studied these newborn babies that were thrown in there. These babies that would die because of malnourishment, because the mothers would work so hard after they gave birth to the babies that the mothers would end up not being able to give out breast milk. They worked them. They had similar injuries to the people that worked in sugar plantations in places like Haiti. By the way, sugar plantation. Do you know that the people that died there, or the slaves that they would find with injuries there, they had the same injuries that they have in the NFL? Did you know that? Did you know that? Before people say that I'm wrong, I'm lying, I'm making this up, this and that. Did you know that the same injuries that you see in people in the NFL and the NBA and stuff like, hamstring injuries and all this stuff, the same stuff, they had the same injuries there. How in the world are you not playing sports, but you're getting the same injuries? You said with the little knowledge and understanding of what we know. Well, some people want to say with the little knowledge and understanding. I think there's a lot of knowledge, a lot of intimacy that's out there, a lot of things we can understand. First things first is that we need to actually have something to talk about and address PTSD that we're living under. That's why I'm talking about the prison of the mind, to which it says to where we're going to even say that there's just a little bit on this. Number one. Number two, we have to make sure that we have something as far as coming together as a people. And if you're not going to come together as a people, not just come together in, okay, it's nice, we had a 1 million man march, we had a 1 million women march. I'm talking about even for the sisters. People forgot there was like a black woman's march, that came like right after the black men's march. But nevertheless, right? Like if we're gonna act like that stuff that isn't necessary, doesn't need to exist, right? Then we already have a problem. We're not building a nation. We're not nation building. We just out here talking, and that's the problem. Is that we out here just talking. Now, if you want to actually cause change, first things first, you got to get with your brother. You got to get with your sister. Are you willing to do that? First thing out the gate. Right? We quick to be like, oh, there's not even any fix this, blah, blah. What are we going to do to fix this? Number one, can we talk about this? Right? Like, what are we fixing? What are we fixing? What are we fixing? Well, black men just shoot each other in Chicago. So before we can talk about somebody else fixing us, we got to fix ourselves. Okay, cool. Question: do you have the right to be able to police yourselves in Chicago? Are we going to fix that? Just question. If we're going to put that out there, right? We put that out there so much and so egregiously, in my opinion, right? But if we're going to put that out there, my question to you is like, are you even allowed to police yourself? You're not even in charge of policing yourselves, but you're out here talking about, we have to make sure we police ourselves. How do you police yourselves when you ain't in charge? Just a question, just a thought. How do you police yourselves when you're not even in charge? The policemen put weapons in your community. I'm sorry, something. I don't know what's playing in the background. Right? But the policemen. I was coming from the phone. It's the police. The policemen police you more than everybody else does. Right? The policemen police you more than everybody else does. So if you're not policing, if you policing yourself, right? Or I mean, you can't police yourself. People are like, get yourselves together, get your community together. Okay, cool. When do I get to have control? I don't even necessarily want to have control. I'm going to get the Most High control. But when do I get to live in sovereignty? Right? You see the difference? Like, in order to be a people, once again, just think about lawful terms. The word people means a nation. If you are the people of Maryland, guess what? That means you are a nation of Maryland. If you are the people of New York, you are a nation of New York. A state is a country. The United States is a corporation by law. 28 USC 300215A. It tells me the United States is not a country. It is a set of countries who have decided to listen and to certain things and have certain stock in a corporation. It's a different mindset. It said slave mentality made it difficult for people of color to have community. It was designed to plan that way. Almost every other culture has no problem with this. Yeah. And that's something that people don't want to talk about. I say this all the time. Like, people get mad if you mention color at all, right? But think about this. Even as a woman, for my sisters out there, sisters, were you allowed to vote when the United States came into power? No. Why? Because you were not considered to be a person. A natural person is what you've always been by law, but a person is not what you were considered. I don't care what race you were or what you want to call race, because race is something that was created from animals being races, and then them saying that people came from animals, and now you think there are different races of humans because you think there are races of animals, but that's a different conversation. I'll leave that alone. Right? You see what I'm saying? You're having people are trying to get us into a conversation that's not my conversation. It's not my conversation. I'm not here to try and free everybody. I believe everybody should be free. But see, here's another thing. People really ain't gonna like this, but let's just talk about it. I'm not here to try and free everybody, nor is it my responsibility to try and free everybody. I know you don't like that, but I can't free everybody. I can't take care of everybody's children. Impossible. I wish I could. I cannot. I cannot take care of everybody's wife. Matter of fact, I don't wish I could do that at all. I don't even want to try. Right? That's crazy to even attempt to do something like that. Some of y'all would love to attempt that. Right? Thank you. I'm not here to try and adhere to everybody's stuff. I know I got stuff all in my beard still. I'm still trying to record stuff while I'm talking to y'all. Praise y'all that we have the ability to do so. Right? But I'm not here to do those things. I'm here to give you a reminder of what your people need, what you need to address, how you need to love, how you need to prepare, right? So it's bad for your health. Hey man, right? Right? I can't take care of everybody's problems all the time. I can give you tools, and you can use those tools if you like. But see, everybody acts like this is for everybody. No two people are equal. My wife and I are not equal. I've said this before. My wife and I are not equal. And since my wife and I are not equal, we work very well together, because the things that she does are things that I cannot do. And the things that I do are things that she cannot do. We can teach each other how to be better in those things, but there's certain things where we're not going to be able to be on the same level. Right? Which is why both of us should submit one to another. Right? Which is why her ideas and her dreams and vision should be secured, and mine should be heard, and we should come together. Right? These are things that are necessary for your relationship, but these are also things necessary for your people. No two people, no two nations. I'm here to tell you, I know they don't want you to believe this, but no two nations are equal. Uh-oh. People get upset about that. All right, Rufus. People get upset. People get upset, but this is real talk. How you doing, Tease? Tease 2 cents. Go check him out when you get a chance. Some stuff that he puts out that's pretty funny. And some other things that are thought-provoking as well. Right? People get upset when you say, but real talk, there's no such thing as equal anything. There's no two circles that have ever been drawn that are equal. Whichever way you want to put this. There's no two lines that have ever been equal. There's no two people that have ever had equal fingerprints. There's no two people that ever had equal DNA. None. No such thing. Get mad all you want. Be upset. Be frustrated. No such thing. You can't find it. Chattel slavery has y'all believing that you're equal. You know why? Because they said that you are not equal to them, your masters did, but they said all of y'all are equal to each other. That's why all y'all look alike. Okay, a lion and a lioness are not the same. Amen. Right? A lion and a lioness are both lion. Just like a man and a woman are both man. Man means spirit. Right? A man is a spirit. A wombed man is a spirit with a womb. Right? Different cultural stuff is popping up here. I have to remind people, we're talking about culture. My culture might not be yours. So when I think about things, just like when I mentioned patriarchy, my patriarchs don't look like yours. George Washington is not patriarchy to me. You want to know why? Because he's not my father. Did you catch that? My patriarchy hit different than yours. Right? I'm not romantic. I'm not into romantics. So I don't want romance in my life, nor does my wife. That's not something that we're interested in. You go, no romance? You mean you guys don't want to go out with each other? That's not romance. No romance, you don't mean that you want to do something nice, like put rose petals down and make sure you buy her flowers and do this and make sure her house looks, but that's not romance. You mean you have to be Roman in order to do those things? You're still enslaved mentally. You see, you got to realize they did this on purpose. The fact that you don't even think that you're different than Rome, but you got the same positions. You think you're different than Greece, but you got the same positions. Right? You got the same positions they had. Living by the same laws that they did. Talking about the same stuff that they did. But in your mind, you say you're free. I mean, okay. I guess. I don't know. It sounds like you're saying the same stuff. It sounds like you have, see, watch this. They had senators too. Before you had a Senate, they had a Senate. Before you had a president, they had an emperor. Emperor was a little different than the president. But these people who got voted in and stuff, they were from the rich families. The same Senate that you have set up today, all these families, they're related to each other. All your presidents are related to each other. I know people get rifled up. It's okay. Some of us need to be rifled up. You need to see it. Some of y'all need, if I need to be the person that you come against and you come down and you say that I'm this and that and I'm nasty towards people and this, that, etc., like, then let that be what you need to hear today. Right? Get every piece of this. Right? Get every piece of this. Leave today better than what you've been in the past. And hear this today. Right? Like you've been dealing in something that's not who you are ever. You've never supposed to have been with these things that you're trying to portray. And thank you for the love. I appreciate it. By the way, I'm sorry if I haven't been getting to as many comments today. Like I've been trying to tell you, I got sun up in my face today, so I'm just not able to really see. Some people be like, why are you sitting with your back to the sun? Because it's actually easier to see with the sun coming behind me, to have light on you guys rather than to have the light in my face. But I just want y'all to know, like, we're living in a weird place, a weird mindset that says that it's okay for us to be this jacked up. Right? Like you are still enslaved. You think that you have to be romantic. That's why you do Valentine's Day. Valentine's Day is not even based off of like the real Saint Valentine. And Saint Valentine shouldn't even be a saint if you know what he did to your people. He killed off your people that lived in Ireland. I'm sorry, not Saint Valentine, excuse me. Valentine was somebody who's evil. Saint Patrick, I'm thinking about. Sorry, I just mixed the two together. Saint Valentine not even a real person. It's like several Valentines that they put together, and then it's a fable. It's a myth. Just like Saint Nicholas, they'll be like, "Oh well, why don't we have the black? You know, there was a real African Saint Nicholas." Blah blah blah. There were like 5 or 6 different people that they said were Saint Nicholas all over the world. They mix and match them together, right? Like you romanticize so much stuff. You believe that you should be about something that was made up, and this is why your children don't like to listen to you and believe you, because Santa Claus wasn't real in the first place. Why are you fighting for him to be black? The Little Mermaid ain't real in the first place. Why are you fighting for her to be black? There's an enslaved mentality that says that, hey, please put us in your foolishness. Like your stuff wasn't even real. We don't even believe in Neptune, King Triton, but we want to have our daughter now be his daughter. What? Who raised you? They did. That's right. That's right. They did raise us for sure. Right? Like that's what's going on for real, for real. Who raised you? You ain't raised yourself. That's why your mama used to say, boy, girl, you ain't in your right mind. Your right mind. It's not yours. Please, please make sure that you make Idris Elba. He needs to be the next James Bond. So you really need a womanizing killer who's actually had movies where he's SA'd women heavily, doesn't listen to authority, only cares about himself. You need him to represent your people. That's what we're doing. And that's what we're fighting. I need you to comprehend. That's what you're fighting for. Yeah, he turned it down. Yeah, so basically, it could have become something, and he probably didn't want the problems that come with that, by the way. But you wanted to force these people to say, hey, make sure that you recognize us as this foolishness. That's why you fought for the woman king so much, even though the Agoji, they were slave traders. And they were slaves themselves. They just got to mistreat other people better, right? That's why people had a problem with the woman king. They didn't have a problem with the woman king because it was a black woman. I mean, some people did, in all honesty, some people did. But it wasn't that simple. If you enslaved our people, we don't want you to go be out here having more videos and stuff like that of us being enslaved and us going ahead and saying that this is the reason why we should be happy about it. How many tribes, including your own, because some of you forget that, yes, some of you still did come, even if you're mixed with native blood, even if you're full native, by the way, you still shouldn't like slavery because you went through it yourself. But some of you did, in fact, come over from West Africa by ways of other countries in between, but you did come over from there. Well, if you came over from there, you probably should have a problem with your own people who sold you out. But what did they present it as? They presented it as, oh, this is a great movie. It's going to show you guys what it is to make sure that you comprehend and understand what it is, that what black women actually were and how this woman king actually stood up for you. The problem is that woman king probably was never even the leader of the Agoji. They just picked a name at random and they made up a story to go along with it. The young girl that they used for you to be able to see through her prism what the Agoji were doing and stuff like that, she was somebody who has a real name too, but she's somebody that we don't even know really if she ever made it past the training. They just picked 2 names out of a hat, made up a story, and now you and I are supposed to be sitting up here supporting it and defending it. That's what they want you to do. They got you out here supporting and defending this stuff. Why? Why? You have a great day triumphant. Why? Why should we? A lot of wind noise. Yeah, it is what it is. I'm outside today. I can't go anywhere else unless you want to wait like 20, 30 minutes. And I don't think I'm going to unpack everything 20, 30 minutes and have 4 or 5 devices set up again. So it is what it is. Hopefully you can hang in there with us. I apologize for today. That's sometimes when you're outside as much as I am. That's sometimes the drawback. Sometimes you got to deal with nature. It is what it is. But prayerfully, you're getting the overall part of the message. Hopefully, you'll get this right. Right? Like, hopefully, you're in a position where you're seeing. Right. And by the way, like almost everything that's out nowadays is like this. So that's why we talked about earlier. See the series of removing the leaven. Leaven represents in this context sin. Sin means anything causing you to miss the market. Today we got to get rid of the prison of the mind. Like today we got to get into the prison of the mind and figure out where it is and start to say we got to remove it. We should not be eating off this anymore. Right? Like we got to remove this mindset. I'll watch a movie because it looks better than another movie. I mean, well, is the movie that you're watching that looks better, is it true? Well, no, this one's actually real and actually talks about history, and it's actually made by our people. But you know, it's 1080. I'd rather watch 4K. That's an imprisoned mindset, y'all. Watch this. Watch this. The person who's making money off oil. Hear me and hear me well. The people who dig for or who drill for the oil, excuse me, that they don't look, it's not a nice job at all. But they're getting the benefit from getting what's real. Right? If you had to get oil the same way they did, nobody in here would ever get behind the wheel of a vehicle. Right? Like in your mindset, you're thinking it has to look a certain way in order to be a certain way. Right? You got the wrong mindset. You got the wrong mindset. In prison, yeah. You know what? Be ready when you walk in there. Somebody gonna test you, and you're gonna have to put it to them. Once you put it to them, you might even have to kill somebody. But once you do it once, nobody will mess with you again. That might work for prison, but that don't work for your community. If you're gonna be free, it's got to look different. If you're gonna grow food, your hands have to get dirty. You're afraid to get your hands dirty. But if your people are gonna eat, you gotta learn what moss is. If your people are gonna be healed from certain diseases, you might have to figure out what mushrooms you can and cannot touch. Right? If your people are gonna be made whole, you're gonna have to get into some dirty conversations. Why you cut the chicken in half? I don't know. My mama did it. Why she cut the chicken in half? She don't know. Her mama did it. Why did she cut the chicken in half? She don't know. Her mama did it. Well, Big Mama, why you cut the chicken in half? Because baby, back then stoves were half the size as they were now, so we couldn't fit a whole chicken in there. We had to cut it in half to put it in. Oh, okay. So we don't have to do that anymore, Big Mama? Oh no, we can stop that right now. Simple conversation stops years of foolishness. He said Revelation 13, 1 and 2. We're looking at first what's going on in the world. Also, Bible lines up too close. Yeah, we were just talking about that yesterday, or actually last night, right? We talked about it yesterday too, actually, in the rising session. You know, and talked about the fact that it wasn't just Revelation. It don't start at Revelation 1. Right? I didn't mention Daniel 2 yesterday, Daniel 7 yesterday. Right? And go back to Genesis. I think we go back to Genesis chapter 3. I think we did that yesterday. But you got to recognize, like, this stuff is not as wild as you might think, or as even as crazy as you might think, or or let me say it like this. I'm saying it the wrong way. Thank you, Holy Spirit, for adjusting that. The changes that are necessary are not going to be as wild and crazy as you might think. The fact we haven't changed. How you doing, Minister Moselle? The fact we haven't changed, that's what's wild. That's what's crazy. The fact that we haven't changed it up yet, that's wild. The fact that we know a lot of this stuff is true. And I'm sorry, y'all. I have no space over here. I mean, I got a bunch of space, but I'm trying to make sure y'all can hear me in the midst of all this stuff going on. right? Sorry about that. But we got all this stuff that's happening and we're not dealing with any of it. That's crazy. That's foolishness. Like that's wild. That we should easily be ensuring that we're taking care of things and we're not taking care of things anymore. Right? Like we see what it is at this point. You know, and it gets to a place to where I'm just gonna be honest. Our works are showing that we don't have the faith required because faith without works is dead. If you knew, if you knew, here it is. If you knew that Yah was gonna bless you, all you had to do is swim to the other side. He gonna bless you. All you gotta do is make it to the other side. If you knew that you would be safe if you swam to the other side, excuse me, if you swam to the other side, if you knew that, if you recognized that everything that your people needed was right there on the other side, you might not even know what's in this water. But if you knew that was the case, would you swim? Now we got to have an honest conversation. If you knew that everything was right there, it's a little ways away. You might not even be a strong swimmer, but what if everything was just designed to say, hey, go swim? And what if as soon as you started swimming, the Most High would see you and he would cause a boat to come up? And he says, you don't even have to swim. I just wanted to see if you jump in. Uh-oh. You hear what I'm saying? I don't even want to see if you'll swim. I just want to see, would you jump in? Peter, I don't care if you walk. I know you look, you're not me. If you asked me if you could walk on water, I just wanted to see if when I said come, would you come? And if you fell, I'll heal you. I'll save you. I'll pick you up. Yeah, the fear of the unknown to get there as well. Faith allows a conqueror's mentality, or even a more than conqueror, right? Amen. Right? Would you take a step? People talk about tithing money. You won't tithe time. Give me your time today. Give me 15 minutes of prayer. Stop telling me that you don't have time because you got to go to work. Fine. When you get your 15-minute break, when everybody else is walking around, go to a prayer closet and talk to me. Yeah, faith is action. Amen. Right? Like you see what I'm saying? Like you talking about tithing. Gee, you don't get the principle. You're worried about pennies. But see, I take care of more than needs. I take care of wants. If I'm going to take care of things, when you pray to me, you're asking for needs and even some of your wants, not realizing that everything you pray to me, if I'm going to take care of your needs, I must take care of your wants, because eventually your needs and your wants are going to become the same as my needs and wants, which means that everything that you need is everything that I want, and everything that you want is everything that I need. Because this is marriage between you and the Most High. You wanted to say it again? Okay, have to be willing to drown to float? No. Are you willing to swim to live? Right? That's not what I was saying. I don't know if that's what you're saying, but that's not what I was saying. You have to swim to live. A lot of y'all, watch this. By the way, fine. If you say you can't swim today, if you're so afraid of it, why haven't you learned how to swim yet? Why haven't you found somebody and invested in, hey, teach me how to swim? Because I know that if I learn how to swim, there's something on the other side. That's the point. How you doing, Sister Wendy? That's the point. Is there something on the other side? If I jump in, I'm going to drown. Okay, then. If that's as far as your faith goes, cool. Fine. Where's your works then? Show me that you have faith, that you want to learn how to swim and get to the other side anyway. You can still learn how to get to the other side. I didn't say jump in and drown so that you might float, because that's not swimming. I use particular words, right? If you're going to swim, then learn how, or at least jump in. Once again, what my context was what if you jump in, and even if you're having problems swimming, right? Like, do you not know they have Coast Guard? Do you not know that there's people who get in boats and go back and forth? Do you not know that there's people who have the ability to swim? What if somebody sees you struggling to swim and jumps in and saves you anyways, or sees you only get halfway, helps you to get to the other half when they save you? How can somebody save you if you won't even be in a position to admit that you need saving? That's the problem. That you're sitting up there saying, I don't need saving, while you're still stuck on the other side. You can't do it on your own anyways. Now, watch this. What if there's a bunch of people that jump in the water together? And we don't need you to be the strongest swimmer. And there's enough of us, there's thousands of us that jump in, and we form a link that takes us from one side to the other. And so all you got to do is just make sure that you come in this thing. And slowly but surely, you can just come over the chain. You said Elohim is more worried about the time give with him than your money. Well, that's why we said it's not even just about your money. But see, your money is a principle. Your money doesn't mean anything, by the way. You know, your dollar has no gold or silver to back it up. So if you give your tithe to him, that's a tribute. You can tithe your time, your talent, your effort, your energy, your gifts, your smile, your love, your prayer, and yes, even your finances too. Everything should be a tithe, and eventually the goal is to not just give him a 10% tribute, but to give him all of you, right? He doesn't want some of you, he wants all of you. He doesn't just want some, he wants all. Right? He doesn't just want some, he wants all. All right, find me at my roots. And you're having an issue. You trying to turn this into, well, what if I switch this? What if I do? What if I only get bare minimum? Okay, that's what your community reflects. Mind over matter. Work smarter, not harder. Yeah, that's Navy right there. You in the Army, but you know, the Navy cats, that's what we do. We try to work smarter, not harder. We ain't trying to do no more than what we got to do, right? You said which video? As far as our videos, if you talk about our videos, if you go to the YouTube channel, you have look for one that says we have one called FAQ, frequently asked questions, a playlist, but then there's also a playlist on there that basically is called having been led as we believe. So if you want to find out different things like that as far as us, feel free to go on there. Yeah, on YouTube. Are you talking about our YouTube channel? I don't know, comprehend the question. There you go. Put your hand out and help each other up. I'm preaching. Right? And we don't, but this is the issue. Once again, like, how much are you willing to put in? Right? Like, it's not that difficult. Like, we got thousands. If we had thousands that were willing, now out of thousands, we really only have hundreds that are faithful. I'm not saying that to be mean. I'm just saying, as far as like of us being in it all the time, all together doing stuff, we got hundreds that are faithful to us, right? But we got thousands. If we had thousands around the world that were willing to say, we'll put all our stuff in, some of the stuff we've been talking about would have been done in 1-2 months, like easily. Like, to actually have the money together, have the money for any kind of lawyers or any kind of stuff. We wanted to even have some of that stuff. Like, that stuff could have been addressed. The reason it's not addressed is, and I'm not trying to say anybody's bad. I'm saying, I'm just trying to get you to see the principle. People are talking about 10%. That's why we live in 10% lives, because you're arguing over whether you should give 10%. My argument is you can't afford to not give 100. Like, the 10% is going to teach you how to do this 100. If I can teach you how to live off of 10%, you'll start investing the other 80, 90. Like, some of the, like, Bill Gates has so much he doesn't need that. But they all say, well, yeah, because he got so much. Well, people that don't have as much as Bill Gates, they learn how to live off 10%. Right? Like $50 because of the lifestyle that I've decided to lead and be more minimalist. It actually turned into where I have a lot of options as to where I can go and live at the same time. Like I have a lot of different places I can go and stay. Why is that? Because we decided to sow in the beginning. See, everybody else is talking about 10%. Let me just pay my bills. Let me just make sure that I live paycheck to paycheck. Let me just make sure that my car is okay. Let me just make sure that my children look nice at school. Maybe I'll save some money, this and that, or whatever. So I'll give, out, and so I'm giving all that energy out, and then I'll give 10%, to my savings account or something. I'll give 10% to my 401k. We said, you know what? Even though it's jacked up, let's get a jacked up place to live on, and let's fix it up, and let's be all in. And as soon as we finish being all in, guess what happened? 2019, 2020. All of a sudden, we go from making, and this is just my wife, right? Go from making 200K a year. I was making significantly less. I was making enough to help, for sure. And if I needed to, I could have taken care of it, but I'm making significantly less. We lose all that, and I lose some of mine. We reevaluate. We say, you know what? Are we going to be all in on this or not? We had already decided to get the land. We had already decided to get this together. We had already decided to start building up SOC to a certain extent. We're like, how far are we willing to go with this? And then we prayed. And then guess what happened next? We prayed. We said, okay, this is what we're going to do. Guess what happened after that? As soon as that happened, as soon as we said we all in, she loses her job. She got it back for a hot second, loses it again. I lose a little bit that I have coming in because now most of my stuff is affected because I'm working for churches. But we are starting to go away from churches, which means that even my finances are going away. So I start side hustle and stuff like that. And I say, you know what? While I'm doing my side hustle, guess what I started doing? Kofi _ Ofori comes up on TikTok, got a little bit of stuff, started getting, people were liking some of the stuff we were talking about as far as activism mainly, and then the kingdom of heaven as well. And so as soon and we start going worldwide recognition, all this stuff or whatever, as soon as that starts happening, looks like we're doing fine. We're doing great. We're not making any money off anything on social media at all. But, hey, things are going well. We start SOC University. As soon as we get ready to start that, what happens? They took it off. They said that we were bullying people. We were trying to get people to riot. They said that we were violent. Hallelujah. Right? They said we were violent. Never done any of that. They said we were trying to, we were trying to sell drugs online. That's what they said. I showed you guys some of the stuff. We've been with us long enough. So then they canceled that one. We had started Kofi _ 42. Had to start from scratch. Got to 1,000. Started going live. A whole different diaspora. Finally, our diaspora starts taking notice of us. Other people, Ireland was trying to get us to travel over there. Right? Other people were taking notice of us. No, nobody over here. Nobody in our community. Finally, people start taking over, and on this channel, the Most High says, focus on the kingdom. Let tomorrow take care of itself. Focus on kingdom today and my righteousness and see what happens. We start doing well. We say, okay, cool. We're going to start YLP 83. We got thousands coming on every day. Legit. Thousands are coming on every single day. Guess what happens? Cut us off. YLP 83, we don't get the stuff, the leeway. We were going to have hundreds of families that looked like that were going to invest $100 a month to make sure that we were going to be able to get acres upon acres upon acres of land. Guess what we did? Circle back. Kofi _ 43. Kept up with Facebook. YouTube channel gets taken down same time. YouTube channel's been up for 7 years. We lose 7 years of information. At least. Probably 7 years. Probably 7 to be safe. 7, 8 years of information gone. Some of the videos saved, some of them aren't. And we still come back because the works. And now we're in a place where it's been full time. for about 2-3 years. I even tried to do a couple side hustles or side projects to try to get some stuff to try to get stuff together. Every time I try to do it, it doesn't work out. Amen, Sister Mary. That's when people like you guys and stuff like that. You guys became a village for us, a culture for us. That we found people that were like-minded, and so now here we are again. And now they're trying to take down Kofi and the Score 40 again. They're trying to mess with YouTube again. That's why we say follow us on multiple platforms. Be ready. We might have to move to another platform. Are you ready? You know. But we got to a place to where no matter what, our works and our faith come together. Our faith and our works come together. No matter what, we're going to keep moving and pushing and learning and growing. And what's happened now is it's not just a virtual thing, but it's become bigger than any other church project that I've ever seen before. Like, we've traveled to other nations, done stuff like that, but it's become something bigger than I've ever seen before. Not saying that nobody's ever done it. Nobody's ever done it like we're doing it, because we're called to do something different. But not saying nobody's ever done it at all. I'm trying to say I've never done this. I've never seen to where, like, I'm having to figure out how we're going to talk to people in the UK and in Jamaica and other places where people are coming on. How are we going to make sure that we got people? Now we got to make sure that there's ministry that's popping up. So, hey, we got to make sure that there's ministers on staff. We already got ministers on staff on the West Coast. We got ministers on staff in Chi-Town, Indiana, right? So places where people can go, different places. We're paying attention to people in Canada. We're making sure people in the Carolinas are taken care of. We're making sure people's here, there, people in Virginia. Now all of a sudden I got to make sure that we got somebody now. We're working on making sure we train people so we can have somebody in the Northeast region, everybody above Pennsylvania. We got somebody in Philly. We got somebody we're working on in Texas and make sure they can take care of Texas, Oklahoma. We got somebody we're trying to work on so they can start helping out in Georgia again. All right. I'm still trying to take care of people in Florida and take care of people here, this and that, because we don't have ministers everywhere. But in all that stuff, like, I'm doing stuff I've never seen before. But guess what I did? I was faithful in the works. Faith without works is dead, which means works without faith is dead. The problem is not that you have no work or faith. It's the problem sometimes that you have no works. Over and over again, there was an excuse, supposedly. How you doing, Trauma Shaman? Supposedly, there was a built-in excuse that said we could have gave up several times. Matter of fact, there's many people that probably should have said we should, probably would have said we should have given up several times. This just must not be for you. But how many times did Naaman have to dip himself in the water? Somebody help me out. How many times did Naaman have to dip himself in the water? Help me out, somebody. How many times? Somebody help me. 7 times. Seven times. He had leprosy. Didn't even want to be in Israel. Didn't even want to dip himself in the waters in Israel. Thought that it wasn't on his level. The prophet didn't even come out to meet him in person, because the prophet was busy with Yah's will. He was upset. You're not going to come out and bow down to me. You know I came down here. You know how much the king put on my back that I would look a certain way? Your king was afraid of me when I came to him. And you're not going to bow down once? He said, man, stop tripping about me bowing down. Bow yourself down in the water and do it 7 times. You know how much and then he was going to leave. And his servant had to come to him. His friend had to come to him and say, hey, look, I know you're upset. This isn't the way you thought it was supposed to be. Yeah, numbers are important, right? I know you were upset. You know this wasn't what it's supposed to be. However, I just want to tell you that if they had told you to dip yourself in the water where we came from, you would have had no problem with it. So why is it when they tell you, right? So but here you came to somebody, nobody in the country that you participate in. Hallelujah. Not one person in the country that you live in could heal you. Nobody in this United States corporation has healed your people. Come on, it's coming. Right. Like, nobody where you live at has healed your people. And you come to the man of Yah, you come to the kingdom, you come to SOC, you come to TikTok, you come to YouTube, you come to wherever. And here you are, and you sitting up there, somebody says, hey, let's jump in the water. And you say, no, I won't jump in the water. Where you been? What's been happening for you that you haven't jumped in yet? You haven't taken the plunge. You haven't loved your people. You haven't learned your language. You haven't studied yourself. What's been going on for you and your people? Help me understand. Help me comprehend. I don't know if I want to understand. Help me at least comprehend. Help me to empathize. What value has there been with you staying on land and not learning how to swim? Not putting in the effort, not putting in the time, not putting in the relationship, not being prayed up, not supporting your own people. Tell me, help me out. What has happened for you that we should stop and be like, you know what? He right, she right. We shouldn't do anything. What's happened with you not doing anything and being in the land of your oppressor and not being sovereign and not caring and not feeding yourself and not sowing in and not giving them? What has been what's been happening for your people? Some of y'all giving 50 years of your life for a system, and some of y'all mad because we a few months behind on something that we didn't even get participation in. Let me leave that alone because somebody think I'm coming for you. I ain't coming for nobody in particular. I'm gonna leave it alone because I don't want anybody to think I'm just trying to give you, right. Sometimes I say this, but people don't believe me. If the shoe fits, wear it. If it doesn't, take it off. I'm not gonna use the pulpit to bully anybody. Some of y'all think I'm trying to bully people. I'm just trying to give you a comprehension. Maybe that's too close to home. But what's been going on with you treating these sisters like trash and then being mad when they raise brothers that are trash and raise other sisters that will treat brothers like trash? What's been happening in your community? How's that been going for you? How's that been going for you? How's that been working? Single mothers raising fatherless sons. How's that been working for you? Hmm? How's that been working? Thank you, Sister Lori. How's that been working for you? Real talk. Help me out. How's that been working? How's it been working? How's it been working where your brothers don't feel respect in the home and out the home? And they've been putting their hands on you. They shouldn't be putting their hands on you regardless. But hear what I'm saying. How's that been working for you? Standing your ground, being 10 toes down in foolishness. How's that been working for you? How's that been working for you that brothers say I'm not heard and sisters say I don't feel secure, but we keep blaming each other when we won't secure each other and we won't hear each other? How's that been working? Help me out. How's that been working for you? How's that been working to where we need to keep figuring out how to separate one another? How's that been working for you? Imprisoned mindsets. It's the prison of the mind. You walking around the street, but you got shackles around in your brain. Willie Lynch told you our objective, one of the objectives, one of the many objectives. But Willie Lynch said one of the things we're trying to do is to take the body and to keep the body but take the mind. One of the objectives is to keep the body and take the mind. How's that working when I got brothers? Some of these brothers don't even know this stuff. I'm not gonna say no names. They don't even know that I know this stuff. But y'all, we're a community. Y'all gotta realize that Pastor gonna know. Pastor gonna know. That's just the way it works. If we're gonna be the community we're supposed to, then I need to know what's going on with your lives. I might not call you out for it. I might not do, but I be knowing what's going on with our people. I just don't preach about your business. I'm not supposed to. Okay, right? But real talk. There are brothers who've been ready to marry. I know you have. You ain't talked to me about it, but I know you have. Like I said, I'm supposed to know. Don't get upset. I'm supposed to know. All right? I ain't gonna put your business out on Front Street because it's multiple. But there's brothers that have been ready to marry. And they start trusting supposed wives. And y'all ain't ready to be wives yet. And break their heart. And I gotta try to keep them in SOC. Dealing with the same foolishness that they trying to get away from. Trying to be an awesome husband. Qualified. There's sisters out here who are getting hurt by y'all, brothers, because you got a prison mindset. You try to treat them the same way that brothers treat other brothers, that they treat like, sexual toys in prison. You trying to treat them like toys out here. I ain't gonna out nobody. If the shoe fits weird, if it don't, take it off. You know who I'm talking to. I told you, I'm not gonna bully you. I'm not gonna bully you, but we got to. The wind's not coming from behind; it's coming from up front. You hear what I'm saying? This is why I tell people. This is why when we teach people about marriage, I tell them, you're not gonna be coming in here and marrying none of our people, none of our spiritual children up in here. You gonna mess with their mind. You ain't ready for this. Oh, thank you, sister. Thank you, Sister Monica. You're not gonna be messing up our queens and kings in here. I know some of the stuff that be happening, even with SOC, people trying to do stuff and then not be what you called to be. Leave our sisters alone if you ain't a husband. Leave our men alone if you're not a wife. Leave our husbands alone, I should say, and leave our wives alone. I know what be going on. Y'all think it's just 1-2 situations. There's been like 10, 15 situations I know about. I told y'all where we are today. I'm here because we're getting ready to make sure that somebody get married the right way. So don't think that I'm not involved in relationships. You know how many marital coaching sessions we have? Some people get marital coaches, and they should praise y'all that this is the mindset people are getting it now. There's some people getting marital coaching sessions, they're not even married, but they want to make sure when they get there, they're talking things out. They're trying to make sure they're married to Yahweh first. They're trying to ask, hey, what does your wife think about this? What do you think about this? We might have to start having some sessions that we do where we have all these couples just come together and talk. Right, be all in. See, this thing, once again, the prison mindset has us thinking that it's wrong to give 10% of anything. 10% of food to the community, 10% of shoes. You got sisters that got 100 shoes. If you got 100 shoes, sis, give 10 of them away. See what happens. See if you get a blessing. See if that one pair of shoes that you really want, see if all of a sudden you start seeing that you can get them. But you won't release anything into the community. How you doing, Sister Sheila? God's not giving us a spirit of fear, but the power of love and a sound mind. Praise God. That's what's available. Get it. That's a word. Won't even admit we need saving. Yeah. Like you got to be like we've got to get into a position. You hear what I'm saying? Like, how much time? Watch this. If men tithed their time to becoming husbands, then we wouldn't have a problem with husbands in our community. We wouldn't have a problem with wives in our community. I'm talking about just if the brothers. I'm not saying sisters don't need any work, but brothers, heavy is the head that wears the crown. How much of your day is a tithe, time-wise? If there's 24 hours in a day, how much in your day? 60 minutes a day, 24 times 6, right? Or 24 times 60, right? But if there's 60 minutes an hour, 24 hours a day, how much time is a tithe? Yeah, we talked about war last night and war today, yesterday, to the rising. How much of your time is a tithe in a day? Have you ever even thought about it? We've given a number before. Oh, okay. Yeah. Hola. ¿Cómo está? How you doing? Is Yusel or Yuseli Perez? Lo siento. I don't know how to pronounce it. But see what I'm saying? Like we how often are we doing these things? All right. So 2 hours and 12 minutes would be a tithe. Amen. 2 hours and 12 minutes. If men study being husbands and fathers and adult males, sorry for the wind. We're going to take our leave soon, right? We won't be out here too much longer. Probably won't be able to play the music for you guys that we normally play, but what we'll do is we'll just let you guys do the shout out while we walk around and look at everything. Amen. But if men spent 2 hours and 12 minutes a day studying what it was to be a husband, right? Yeah, you had it pretty close. Oh, he lost his phone. Okay. Is anybody I don't know if my sister's fluent in Spanish. Can you I know you don't, or at least I don't know how much English do you speak? I haven't had a chance to speak to you like that, just in the background. Do you speak English? I might need somebody. If you can speak Spanish, I might need somebody to translate something for me real quick. But because I can't speak fluent, but I don't think my sister's, or at least from what I remember, my sister doesn't speak fluent English. Um, but I need to make sure that I get in touch with her in some way, shape, or form. I need somebody to help me out if you can. But basically, like, let's what's the best way I could put this? If men, you're fluent in Spanish, okay. Can you look at Sister? I need you to do me a favor if you can. I don't know if I'm pronouncing it right. Uceli Perez, Yucleyperez, the number 3. And can you tell her that she can text me at a number I'll give you, if you don't mind? She's actually going to be blessing us with some stuff, and anybody who wants to help. I'm going to try and start putting some of our stuff on YouTube and starting to put it in Spanish subtitles, because there's a lot of people in Spanish speaking places that are saying they want to be able to give this word out to other people. And I'm like, well, I can't speak fluent, but what I can do is I can put it in Spanish, and maybe you can go ahead and just kind of tell me if it works or not. So she's going to help me with some of that too. But if some of y'all want to help with that, that would be a blessing. We can get this message out, make sure that other people can get it in other languages. We praise y'all that that's even a possibility now. So I can give you a number whenever you're ready for it. Just let me know, Everclear. She's on here once again. Yes, Yucely Perez and the number 3. Her husband dealing with stuff up in with his family right now. Is sick, so if he lost his phone, I kind of need to see if I can get in contact with him. But if not, what I'll do, actually, let me take a screenshot of her name, because then right after this, I can contact her. Oh, okay. Okay, thank you. Appreciate that. Appreciate that. How you doing, Sister Saul? So if we imagine now. Thank y'all for giving me just that little bit. We're gonna get ready to take our leave pretty soon. But just literally, like, think about it. Imagine if we as a people. I'm gonna try and do our shout out the regular way. I hope that the wind isn't gonna be too much. We're gonna try it and see what happens. But imagine with our people, if we legit just were like, we're going to ensure that our brothers took 2 hours and 12 minutes every day to focus on being husbands and fathers. Imagine that. All the trash that everybody be talking about is, imagine if we were given time to be husbands, fathers, and adult males, right? Like, we were allowed to go to classes about it. We were allowed to pray about and have our own area of prayer, right? Imagine that was supposed to take place. But once again, you don't have your own community set up. And since you don't have your own community set up, guess what? You can't do that. You keep talking about the black community. Like I said before, show me the black oil. Show me the black food. Now, here's the question. Are you willing to set that up? that from childhood, every boy would be able to have that. Do you know the first 3 years in our culture, when you raise men up, the first 3 years of their lives, you train them on nothing but being a boy. The next 3 years of their life, you wean them from their mama because they're not supposed to be mama's boys. We raise up mama's boys and then get upset that we're marrying mama's boys. I mean, where they do that at? Who raised us? We didn't raise us. That's the problem, not our culture. The next 3 years after that, ages 7 to 9, he's daddy's apprentice. Whatever daddy does, he does. That means daddy educates him. But you don't have it set up to where daddy educates. Wind is picking up strong. It's about time for us to take our leave. Okay, it's time for us to get ready to go. I think we talked about it enough today anyways. Thank you guys for being on. Appreciate you. I know it's very windy. I'm going to attempt to do our shout out. I'm going to attempt to do our shout out at the end. Hopefully it'll work. I'm not sure that it will, but we'll try to do our shout out. I'm not sure who can even hear me. I'm not even sure if you can hear me or not. I'm going to try my best, though. Thank you for being on. If you're with us, if you were on with us on the podcast, we appreciate you. If you're with us on YouTube, we appreciate you. If you're on with us on TikTok, we appreciate you so very much. We're going to get ready to take our leave and thank you guys for being on. I got stuff to schedule anyways that I got to get ready for. And my wife and my son are around here somewhere, probably waiting on me so we can do something together before we got to get ready for the festivities. So we appreciate you. We honor you. We thank you. We look forward to talking to you guys again soon. We're going to do our shout out. We'll try to play the music. As you can hear, the wind is blowing pretty hard. So I'm not sure how much of the music is going to play, but we're going to try and attempt to get this music with it. As the music plays, we'll start the shout out. If you're not familiar with or you don't know what that even means, just feel free to kind of stick around for a minute, and you'll get to see a little bit of how that works. If you're on Facebook or YouTube, you can always look at the description with the video to be able to get in contact with us later on. If you're on TikTok, if you'd like further information, just stick around for the shout out. Or if you're not able to do that, just feel free to go ahead and look on our main TikTok channel and look up the link tree. Click on the link tree on there. Once you click on the link tree, you should be able to get more information on what's going on with us, and be able to find out stuff off the website or even off of the YouTube channel. And we appreciate you. Don't forget, today is our last day of the family fast. So we're fasting through this evening at 8 o'clock p.m. Eastern New York time this evening on Kofi_42. We'll only be on TikTok, and we're just going to have a shout out. So all is going to come on. You guys will be on. The music will be playing. While the music is playing, come on in and let your prayer request be made known. And once that is finished, we will sign out. Not really going to say anything this evening. It's going to be at least 30 minutes long. So come on in. Try to be on time if you can. Get your prayer requests on there, and we're going to do the best that we can to pray those things together. And then ministerial staff, you got your instructions for furtherance of what we're doing. And then starting tomorrow, right? Today's the 28th. Yeah. So starting tomorrow on March 29th, we'll start our 7 Last Words celebration. So we started our Q&A last night, kind of get our feet wet after. After, we'll get back into our Q&A afterwards. But yeah, starting tomorrow, we'll have Minister Anai. She'll be coming on to give us a word, and we're excited about that. So we're grateful and thankful to you guys for being on. Hopefully y'all will be in attendance for that. But tonight, let's fast all the way through. Once we get through the end of this evening, we'll continue we'll have our prayer and worship service, and then tomorrow evening, we'll have Minister Anais on to give us a word. Amen. And that's leading us up. And hopefully April 5th, you'll join us on Zoom. That'll be when we have our Passover service online. So we're thankful and grateful, and we hope that all you guys can be in attendance. We appreciate you so much, and we look forward to continuing with you guys. So as always, it's been Pastor Kofi, Pastor Servant to Christ, where we are always changing lives one mind at a time by being the voice of the voiceless and speaking the unspoken. Please check out my wife, the Honorable Maya, on TikTok, YouTube, her website, and Pinterest at Bloom and Flourish, not A&D, the letter N, Bloom and Flourish. She is a healer, herbalist, chemist, and biologist by degree. We thank you all for being on. If you're on TikTok, continue to stay on with us after the sign out so we can do our shout out. And you can also look at some of this nice atmosphere. It's really picking up. I'm going to try. Hopefully you'll be able to hear the music. If not, thank you for being on. We really appreciate you. But, we'll have the shout out happen. And we thank you again for being on with us. We look forward to talking to you guys very soon. As always, please, remember your affirmations. And remember, as always, y'all still that you are loved, you're necessary, you're majestic, you're fearfully, wonderfully made in you, which is all of us working together. Will be the reason why people who are in the system no longer have to be of it. Shalom, family. Peace be upon thee. Thank you so much for being on. Appreciate you. Take care. All right, those of you who are still on with us on YouTube, we're going to do our shout out. I'm sorry, those of you who are still with us on TikTok, we're going to do our shout out. And our